The United Kingdom has signed an agreement with Kenya, Ethiopia and Somalia to address the root causes of regional instability, according to UK Security Minister Tom Tugendhat. The arrangement, worth approximately $12.5 million, will assist the three countries in developing measures to combat terrorism. He added that the funding from the United Kingdom is also intended to encourage local people to successfully report suspected terrorist-related activities. This is the first time that Ethiopian, Kenyan and Somali leaders have accepted international assistance to solve a joint problem along their borders. Now, joining me live to discuss this, we have Global Affairs Analyst Calvin Duck, who joins us from the United States of America. Good evening to you. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Yes. Now, Calvin, in your own informed opinion, how does the agreement between the United Kingdom and Kenya, Ethiopia and Somalia aim to address the root causes of regional instability?
I think what the new partnership is seeking to do is to look at all of the things that are frozen or stopped because of the threat of terrorism and instability. Because if you think about it, things like infrastructure development, economic development, things like education, things that communities need to thrive, they can't happen because all the resources from those communities, from those countries, and the world powers that have interest in the region are focused on fighting the threat of terrorism and fighting instability. And it creates this vicious circle of communities that are victimized where they can't fight back against instability and terrorism, which then feeds more instability and the threat of terrorism, and the vicious circle starts over again. So I think this partnership is aiming to kind of address those causes and kind of stop this vicious circle.
Now, Calvin, what specific measures will be developed by the three countries with the assistance of the UK to combat terrorism in the region? Will they be working collaboratively together?
Well, the specifics of the program and the partnership, there aren't that many specific details, but we know they'll involve, obviously, cooperation between Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, and then, of course, the UK, which always is great because that's information sharing, and that's a very valuable tool in the fight against terrorism and instability. We also know that this will fund community programs, communities that have been suffering, that haven't gotten the resources they need, so that they can, be resilient against terrorism. But I think what we have to really, really think about is while the goals are laudable and while they are addressing the root of the problem, the $12 million, so to, $12 million American, is not that very much of a significant amount. So we have to set realistic expectations as to what that small amount of money can do, given that it's going to be spread across the communities around the borders of these three countries.
Now, Calvin, how does the funding from the UK intend to encourage local people to report suspected terrorist-related activities? And some of our viewers might be wondering that the United Kingdom's border is very far from East Africa. So what's in it for them?
Well, I think on the first question, there's going to be, I think, mechanisms, I hate to use the word reward, but incentives for people in the communities to let government officials know, about threats of terror and instability. And I think that's going to be part of it. I think this is going to be really important that the money that is allocated, that it gets to the right hands, that this isn't just a photo op or an opportunity for the government involved to say that this is something that they're doing, but it actually goes to the communities and programs that have results, because this is a small amount of money, but it can be effective if put in the right hands. And I think that the question you ask about, what does the UK have in this? I think that, one, this is the UK, kind of what we say in the United States, put your money where your mouth is. They've said that they have a commitment to Commonwealth countries, and they said that they're committed to stability in the region, particularly with Kenya. So I think this is them trying to kind of put some money behind what they've been saying.
Just before we wrap things up on the segment, Calvin, what factors do you think contributed to Ethiopian, Kenyan and Somali leaders accepting international assistance to address the joint problem along their borders, looking at the issues of sovereignty and also being independent states of their own?
Well, I think that what they realized is this challenge is something bigger than they have been able to handle individually. And also they have been, seeking international support, and they have it from the UK. So I think they realized that they have to balance out obviously their need for autonomy and sovereignty for each of the countries, to realize that at these border crossings are where a lot of Al-Shabaab and others are migrating back and forth. And so I think that what's happened is the need to address that has kind of outweighed the concerns about sovereignty for the individual countries.
Thank you very much, Calvin Duck, Global Affairs Analyst. Always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for spending time and sharing your insights with us.
Thank you.